Hello, everyone. Welcome. This is April 29th, 2022. I am Solid Blue Sister, and this is My Turn to Talk. Hello, Frankie. You're number one today. Okay, so I am going to get started. And before I get started, I want to give a little context of the show that I am doing tonight. It is from a book by Sam Greenlee that was written in 1969, and it was adapted for film in 1973. Okay, and this film is a controversial film. And in the 70s, you had all these blaxploitation films that were out there. But The Spook Who Sat by the Door, it was a film that pushed a lot of buttons. We were coming off of Vietnam. We were coming off of the assassinations of, in the 60s of JFK, Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, Robert Kennedy. Welcome, John Gale. We were, it was a time where the country was not necessarily in a good place. We had people coming back from Vietnam who were injured. You had this whole thing with, soldiers that were missing in action, and the government constantly going back and forth to trying to, get these soldiers home. They were being lied to, saying that there are no MIAs. Leaving the 60s and going into the 70s was a time when everything was just kind of chaos. You had Richard Nixon, dealing with Watergate. There was prices were going up everywhere. You had gas prices, and then comes along, the blaxploitation movies that were made in the 70s. So this film was a film where the main antagonist, if you want to say, he decided, well, let me set it up a little differently. There was a white U.S. senator who was running for re-election, and his numbers were down. So his wife suggests, as a stunt, to call out the CIA and say, The CIA, they only hire white people. There are no people of color, or at that time we went from being Negro to being colored, and there are no colored people in the CIA. So what the CIA did was they opened up their um, uh, uh, agency for um, people of color. So the main antagonist, he decides to go in, and he's going to, go in and he's going to work to get a spot on the CIA. So what happens is he's extremely smart, and there are other, colored people who are also trying to get on. But this guy is almost exceptional, and he beats out all of his other colored um, uh, classmates, I guess you can say, or recruits, and he gets a spot on the CIA. Well, he plays the game. He is uh, he is well liked. His name is Dan Freeman. Dan Freeman is well liked amongst his white um, co-workers, and he learns everything that he can. He learns everything that he can about the CIA. He learns everything about what they do, how they operate, everything that the the government does, all the inside stuff. And then Dan Freeman quits. And what he does is he returns to Chicago, which at that time is run by Democrat Richard Daley. And if anyone is familiar about Richard Daley, he was considered to be a corrupt mayor. Um, Chicago had just come off of the 1968 convention, where it turned into a riot. People from Vietnam were protesting there, and Daley gave the word "shoot to kill." There was a lot going on in Chicago at that time. So Dan Freeman goes, and he goes underground, and he recruits all these freedom fighters. Because what people don't know, or what the CIA didn't know, and what his colleagues didn't know at the CIA, is that Dan Freeman had a deep-seated hatred for white people. And he purposely, when this opportunity opened up for him to possibly get into the CIA, he took it. So fast forward, he is a freedom fighter, and he recruits all of these people to start, going after the very, what he considered, army that trained him. He went after the CIA, and he was successful. Welcome, Juju. He was successful. So here you have a man who, for whatever reason, was, unhappy with the way things were, and he was not happy with the way things were for his people. Now I'm going to tell you how I came up with doing this. When the Spook Who Sat by the Door came out, it was out for a short period of time, and then it was gone. It was taken out of movie houses. It was just gone. You could not get a copy of it anywhere. And it didn't resurface again until 2004. And you can go on Amazon and you can buy it. So we go from 1973. So it was out for maybe about a year, whatever. And then it disappears. And people all say, well, Why? Why did this movie disappear? Was it because it told a story that was a little bit too close to home? But I was listening to another show on Sunday, and then I went on to an after show, and I came into the first show late. And the second show, welcome, Winifred. And the second show, I I understood what the show was about. And the first show, they were talking about, school and what's being taught in school, what have you. And my show was going to center around that kind of, to talk about a different side. But then I'm cleaning out my closet, and I came upon a VHS copy of The Spook Who Sat by the Door. I pulled out my VCR, I plugged it in, and I sat and I watched it. And I had forgotten, even though I was a child back then, I had forgotten, because I had seen the movie once when I was young. And I had forgotten how powerful that movie was. Then I'm going back and I'm like, well, how did I get this movie? And I'm going back and I'm thinking, and like I said, I clean out my closet, whatever, and I have a receipt. And I saw where I got the movie from, and I'm not going to repeat where I got it because it was like an underground place for me to get it. But this movie, talked about, in my opinion, what is going on now. You have January 6th. You have the Black Lives Matter protests, riots, whatever you want to call them. People interpret them differently, just like people see January 6th differently. But what would happen if today you had people working in particular places in government that can go in, learn everything there is to learn, quit, or maybe not quit. They stay there. I personally think that that's happening. I personally think that we have people in government, no matter who you are, what side of the fence you're on. I think that there are people within our government who are doing exactly what Dan Freeman did. And I think one reason why that movie was taken off of the shelves was because of exactly what I think is going on now. You can call it a conspiracy theory. I don't think that it is. I think that that's just the way the world is. I think that back in the 60s, back in the 50s, 40s, 30s, whatever, you all have always had people in power who have, set themselves up to be in the inside to learn what they're doing. This goes back to the Romans, where people were poisoning everybody. So, on that note, if anybody wants to come in and comment, you are more than welcome. So, the world is in a state of confusion right now. And I have said on my show, and I have said privately to friends, that I think that God, no matter who you think God is, I think he's kind of fed up. I think that he gave us free will and he gave us choices. And we have taken these choices and we've just messed everything up. And I have said repeatedly that God should come in and just blow everything up, start over, put animals at the top of the food chain, and put humans at the bottom. Because the only people who are screwing each other over are humans. You don't see, animals screwing each other over. And I go back to that line in Aliens where Sigourney Weaver, is talking about the aliens and she's talking to that, one doctor, whatever, who's trying to implant some alien seed or something inside of her to take it back to Earth, whatever. And she says, you don't see them fucking each other over for a goddamn percentage. But we do it every day. I don't care what side of the aisle you're on, left, right, middle, whether you're green, blue, black, brown, whatever. Everybody seems to be screwing each other over in order to get ahead. Everybody seems to be that spook who sits by the door, just sitting there waiting for an opportunity. Now, the title actually comes from the spook who sat by the door is actually, spook was actually a derogatory name for people of color, for, Black people. And when Sam Greenlee wrote the book, the spook was a Black person sitting waiting for an opportunity. But now I think everybody is just waiting for, a piece of the action, which is another movie from the 70s. So what do we do? How do we get past this? Is it possible that the next time that, if you want to say an insurrection or a riot, however you want to put it, whether you want to say January 6th insurrection or 2020, Black Lives Matter riot, however you want to put it, is the next time going to be that we seriously do end up going against the very government that was supposedly built for freedom and democracy? What do? Do we turn into the Dan Freemans of a fictional movie, but it scared people that it was taken out of circulation for almost 30 years? How do we get past where we are? Now, I have said, and I was called out this past week, because I say that there are assholes on every side. And I was called out basically saying that if someone calls out someone like Biden or Hillary Clinton for saying things like Biden said, if you don't, vote for me or whatever, you ain't Black, and Hillary Clinton made a comment about Martin Luther King when she was running for office in 2008, I do believe it was. Nope, I'm sorry, 2016. But either way, she made the comment. So, I was called out saying that first thing I'll do is I go back and I say that Trump was a racist. And I actually went back and I listened to a lot of my previous shows and what have you. And on my shows, I rarely talk about Trump. I rarely even say his name. But one thing that I have done is when people say, so does that mean that, the people on the left aren't this or the people on the left aren't that? And one thing that I say, I put it in words and I've said it on air. I've said absolutely. Absolutely. So if you want to call me out, that is fine. But I still say there are assholes on every side. But I also know that people have choices. You may not like those choices. Your mother may tell you you are either going to eat broccoli or you're going to eat spinach, but you're going to have a green vegetable. Choose. And when I vote, for me, it's the lesser of two evils. It's either broccoli or it is spinach. And as I explained, and I'm not going to go into the whole thing again, I feel that I have an obligation to vote because of the people who came before me, my ancestors who did not have that opportunity. Now you can either accept my answer or you may not. That's your choice. As I still have my choice. But again, we are at a crossroads where no matter who you vote for, the choices are dismal on both sides. They are dismal. And they're getting more and more dismal every 2 years, every 4 years, whatever. They're getting worse and worse, my opinion. But what would happen, again, if everybody became a Dan Freeman? What would happen if everyone, started to sign up to be a recruit for places for their own agenda? And as I said, I think that's already happened. I think it's been proven that it's already happened. I think there are people on the police force who shouldn't be there. I think there are people who are on, Secret Service, FBI, whatever, who shouldn't be there. Some of these activists that we have, I think people who, some people who are involved with things like Black Lives Matter, I think they shouldn't be there, but they are. What do you do? How do we get out of this quagmire we're in? What do we do? Do we keep blaming? Well, your side is this. Well, your side is this. Well, that person didn't do this. Well, this person do that. Yeah, we could. I mean, we all do it. How do we stop? Welcome, Spanky. So on that note, if anybody again wants to come up and chat, and if you are listening to me on YouTube, I apologize to my TikTok watchers. I could not get my camera to work for TikTok, but I will be doing, I will probably do an after show on TikTok. But anybody who is on YouTube, if anybody's there, if you do want to come and join live, you will have to come over to Podbean. So, and Crucible, I don't think I said welcome to you, but welcome. So, I mean, there are just, there are just so many things that, that we can do to make things better, but there's also so many things that we can do to make things, worse. Do we stop listening to, certain news shows? Do we just turn off everything? Do the CNNs and the MSNBCs, the Foxes, the BBCs, whatever? Do we just shut everything down? Well, welcome, Scooter. Wow, I have both of you guys here tonight. Thank you. I mean, what do we do? Where do we do to escape? Because if we don't get it together, everyone, and this is where again I bring up God. I think he just needs to come in. That's it. Just wash his hands and start over. And that would be unfortunate because there are a lot of good people out there, but there are also a lot of good people that are living among people who have made the world the way it is now. And I'm going to say something that some people may not like, but this is my opinion. Some people don't like that word. This is my opinion. This is how I personally feel. But I also believe in individual responsibility. I believe that you may be in a group and you can follow that group. That kid on the playground may want you to go over and push this little girl and make her cry, but you have a choice. When you're in high school and they're telling you to cut class, come on, let's cut class and go here, and we can drive up to so and so, whatever. You have that choice. You either keep your butt in school like you're supposed to, or you can cut class, risk getting caught, but that's your choice. What do you do? When I was in high school, I'm not going to name her name, but I was a nerd. I was a straight up nerd, and my the girl who was, her locker was next to mine. I heard her tell a lot of her friends that after school they were going to go hang out over someone's house. And on rare occasions, I was asked if I wanted to go. And I was asked, and I said no. I said, I have to go home. I said, my mother expects me home at a certain time. And if I was not home, my mother's one of those mothers who came walking out the house with her robe on, whatever, coming to get you. So I didn't go. So around 9:30, 10 o'clock that night, and this was a school night, mind you, my mother gets a phone call from this other girl's, and I'm not going to say her name, this other girl's mother, wanting to know if I had seen her daughter. First, she wanted to know if I was home. And when my mother said, yes, she's been home since such and such and such a time, she says, well, does she know where my daughter is? So my mother calls me and she asks, do I know where so-and-so is? And I kind of paused, and my mother asked me again, do you know where she is? And I told her. And she gives me the phone, says, so-and-so's mother wants to talk to you. The mother's in tears. She's crying, whatever. So I tell her. So the next day when I go to school, this girl comes up to me. She's just ready to fight, whatever. She's been put on lockdown for like a month. You told my mother where I was and blah, 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 blah. And I said, well, first of all, your mother was in tears. She really did not know where you are. And then I looked at her, I said, don't have your mother call my mother. Next time, tell your mother not to call my house. Or next time, just go home. So that's when I say we all have choices. The government doesn't make us do anything. Your friends don't make you do anything. There's peer pressure. You can have pressure, but no one's going to make you do anything that you don't want to do unless they seriously have a lot of unless they have a gun to your head and that they're going to use it. And John Gale says we need more moms like that. Oh, yeah, John. And my mom was one of those that would embarrass you. And I do mean embarrass you in front of the class. She was one of those, you know. So welcome, Truth Warrior. So again, I ask, um, what do we do to get back to a time when we were just a little bit civil to each other? Because all throughout the creation of man, and that's why I say you go back to Adam and Eve, the Romans, Cain killed his brother. What do we do? You know, what would happen if everybody just started to join the CIA and Secret Service and all these other places just to have a second agenda to take somebody out, even though it has happened before? I mean, what would happen? And better yet, I want to, ask, why do you think this movie was taken out of circulation? Was it so it would not inspire other people, other groups? For 30 years, this movie was gone. What do you do? So I don't know. I think that we're at a point in society where we have people who fear other people. We have people who fear Muslims. We have people who fear Black people. We have people who fear white people who fear Asians. How do we get to this place? And is it possible to um, turn it around, or is it too late? And why does it seem like that America seems to be the main antagonist? And that's the only word that I can use. If anybody can think of a better one, tell me. But why does it seem like America is the main antagonist of everything? So, those are questions that I have. And Crucible is on. Welcome.
Hello. Yeah, I mean, I think the short answer is probably we don't fix it just because of all the things that go on in the world today. Certainly, social media does not help. But my personal opinion, and people can disagree with me. My evidence is anecdotal. I don't have anything to support it except what I think and what I think people I talk to think, and things that I read, and just the general vibe I get being part of the world. Um, first of all, I'm not a conspiracy theorist on any level, but I do believe there's been an effort underway for the past several years on the part of several entities, the government, media, big tech, all the big players, to divide America along the lines you just said: Asians, blacks, whites. We fear each other because we are told to fear each other. I think if you polled people in regular everyday life, generally speaking, the rank and file population, they would say, I have no animus per se toward Asian people. I have no animus toward Black people. Fill in the blank. People's personal experiences do not mirror what we are told is going on in this country. So, to some extent, to answer your question, I don't know how much there is we can do if we're all trying to conduct ourselves as best we can and respect each other's cultures and races. And I know that doesn't always happen, but I think generally people want to get along. But when the government is distracting us with these divisions, and I think people that kind of look at themselves and they go, I'm not feeling that. I'm not feeling that hatred that I'm supposed to feel toward that group. And people just start to go, well, they're telling us those other people are bad, so I must go along. And nobody challenges anything. So I don't know how much more we can do, because I don't know that the problem is essentially as bad as we're told it is. But if we believe it's as bad as it is, I don't think there's anything we can do.
Okay, well, let me ask this. Now, you said that you don't feel people in their everyday lives, feel or see what the government or whomever is trying to say we're supposed to feel. I just want to make sure that I have that correct.
That's correct. That's what I said.
Okay, so does everybody live the same life though? Like, does everybody see things through the same lens?
No, of course not. And I'm not. Well, if I suggested that, I didn't mean to. Everybody obviously experiences life through the lens that they're living it through. But as we become a more diverse society, and I know it's not diverse enough for a lot of people, and I'm one of those people. I believe we should be doing lots of things based on merit and ability, as opposed to just straight up diversity. But I think you can do both. But as we become a more diverse society, you're working alongside Asians and Blacks and Hispanics and gays and transgenders, and what our personal feelings about them behind closed doors may or may not be. We are forced to interact with them on a fairly regular basis, like we've never had before in our history. We are a segregated society still to a large extent, but we're forced by circumstances and laws about diversity and things that we are thrown in with each other. And I think we find a way to get along. And that's where the general tone of my comment. I think you would find 80% of the people in this country say, the people in the fill in the blank, I don't have negative feelings about them. There are exceptions, and there may be one-off things, but I've been around a long time, and I don't feel the level of acrimony in the population toward one another that we're supposed to feel.
Okay. And I get that. But don't you think that America was kind of set up to be the divisive country that it is? And you can't erase history. You just can't. No matter how much you want to not talk about it, no matter how much you want to turn, away from it. Are we not here because of history?
Well, yes. I mean, of course. But I think what frustrates people, certainly if you want to go around racial lines, I know there are people that are just frustrated by they can't change history. Like you said, history is history, and they can't change it. Nobody can change it. And so I think one problem we have in the country is there's an element of looking backwards that exists, rightfully so, to an extent. And there's an element of looking forward that needs to happen. that I think presents a more optimistic. You can change the future, and that's why I think you can control that a little bit. And I think people want to hear a little bit more about that because they feel, white people feel imprisoned by the past in a different way than black people do, but they're bound by it. And nobody alive today had anything to do with it. So they get frustrated and they just go, let's look forward. And African Americans, understandably, have a different imprisonment about the past, a much more sordid one. And they don't want to let that go. And that's understandable. So how do you marry those two sentiments?
I look at it like this. I don't think in terms of it's letting it go, because it's not just in the past; it is still very much in the in the present. And I'll go into more of what I mean. But I want to hear what Scooter has to say, because this is Scooter's first time on my panel.
Hi, this is Scooter, first time caller.
I'm
Hi,
Spanky.
Scooter.
I'm here for the pig calling contest.
Woo! Oh, sorry.
Oh,
We just thought it'd be fun to call in. We didn't know this was such a serious topic.
Yeah, wow.
I think Jester kind of threw us a curve here.
You don't blame it on your on your BFF Chester. Okay.
Yes.
All
Absolutely.
right. All right.
But you know what? I would like to weigh in a little bit on it. I caught the tail end of what Crucible was saying, so I apologize if this comment's ignorant, because I only caught the last part of what he was saying. I think what we need to do in order to move forward, first and foremost, is quit looking at color period. The things that bother me are, like, we have the NAACP, the National Advancement of Colored People. I think we need to we need to drop these names that label people. The United Negro Foundation. We need to stop labeling them.
But you understand why those organizations came into play.
Right, exactly. But if they want to be treated fair and equal, then they have to drop that name. We you know what I mean? We don't have like an all-white school. We don't have, a white entertainment television. We don't. If you're gonna put up color, then you're putting up that barrier. I hate to say it, but doing it nowadays, when you put up a color, you're already creating a barrier. You're not giving anybody a chance. We've got to stop looking at the color.
Can I push back on that?
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
I love when you push me around.
Don't push too hard; he'll fall over.
Yeah, I'll fall.
He's only got one leg.
Okay, so all right, so I understand what you're saying, and I understand that when the NAACP and United Negro College Fund, when all of those came into play, I understand that. But at the same time, there are all white schools. There are places that you still go in this country where students, there was a student, 2 weeks ago who he posted this whole thing on YouTube where he's talking about, let's hang all the niggers, let's hang them. Let's do this. And this is coming up, more in high school. So the color thing is still there. So you can take these names out of these organizations, whatever. You have towns that only want to be all white towns.
Sure, and that's fine.
No, it isn't, because you're saying that's fine. So you're saying it's fine.
What I was saying was that's fine. They can be that way, but we don't have to visit them.
True.
And then they crash.
True, but at the same time, do you think that we will ever? Okay, let me put it like this. Let's take race completely out of. Let's just not talk about race at all.
Okay.
Do you think that there will be somebody who is still going to say something to somebody because you came to school and because your mother can't afford to buy you this, or you don't drive this car, or you live on the wrong side of the tracks? Somebody is always going to say something about somebody.
Right, absolutely.
Ignorance,
100%.
you can't get rid of. You can't rule out ignorance. It exists. It is never going away.
So then how do we get away from, because it isn't just about race, it's also about class.
It's everything. Absolutely. It's class, it's religion, it's
religion,
sex,
right? So
it's everything.
what do you do? What do you
Um,
do?
As Big Mama said, you treat them you treat them kindly.
But
How do you stop a bully from being a bully? Okay, you make fun of yourself.
Or you punch them in the mouth.
Oh, you punch him in the mouth. I mean, that's why they're winning, is because we make such a ruckus over it. We don't make a ruckus. We look the other way. They stop. It's just like a bully. You don't pay attention to them. It's no fun anymore.
But at the same time, though, do you think in your lifetime you're going to see that happen? Do you think in your lifetime that you? Okay. No. So do you think that? Go ahead.
I'm sorry. I want to throw this back a little bit. You and I are close to, from what I can gather, you and I are close to the same generation.
Yeah, but she's a lot hotter.
She is, and she's a lot younger than I am. But
I may not be that much younger than you. So, but anyway, but thank you.
I can commiserate. But let me ask you something. Have you ever left the continental lower 48 states? Have you gone outside of this country? Have you gone to Canada or Mexico?
Yes.
Or Egypt?
Yes.
Okay. Have you ever been to Egypt?
No.
Have you ever been to Saudi Arabia?
No, I've never been to any of the Middle Eastern countries. Yeah.
Have you ever visited the Philippine Islands?
No.
Okay. Outside of the U.S., and I know this is primarily what concerns us because this is where we're at, but ignorance, racism, classism exists all over the world.
Yes.
It's much worse when you leave these 48 continental states.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Now I've been to Europe.
Okay.
And I will say that, back in the day in Europe, they were very much in the class system. People were members of the ton. If you were lord this and lord that, and if you weren't a lord or duchess or earl or whatever, you were just this common person, whatever, and you were treated, that way. I know that for Saudi Arabia, I think in the last 2 years, women have gotten the right to drive, which I think is just crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And you look at India, there's so much in the caste system, and there's so much into color in terms of, if you're a lighter Indian, you're better. If you're darker, then and I understand that. And I know that here in the U.S., among people of color, mainly Black people, you have the same issue. You have the light-skinned people talking about the dark-skinned people, the dark-skinned people talking about the light-skinned people. I mean, again, I say, no matter where you are in the world, because it is a global problem. How do you fix it? How do you fix it? How do you tell someone to one day just stop saying, I don't want you to go to school anymore because, or I'm sorry, I want you to go to school, and I want you to talk to that little dark kid, or I want you to go talk to that high yellow kid, or I want you to talk to this. I mean, how do you change that?
Well, first of all, don't say, go talk to that dark kid. Go talk to the yellow kid. Don't say that. Go talk to that kid.
Go have friends.
Have your friends come over. Invite your friend. You don't have to mention color, race, gay, straight, lesbian. You have to
what
mention
about what they're wearing?
Nothing. Yeah, exactly. Say, hey, just go play with that kid. That's what I was raised on. Yeah, that's what I was raised on. Was, hey, why don't you go play with the kids at the playground?
But people are still going to, if you're so used to not talking to that one kid because of the way they look or their color or the way they dress or their religion, oh my God, you are a Protestant and I'm a Methodist, whatever. I mean, it's something that's just not going to change overnight. And but I have another question, but Saba came in, and welcome, Saba. So you have so you have the mic.
So
And Scooter, I'm going to ask you to mute because you have background noise.
Damn it, Scooter.
Go ahead, Saba.
yeah, Yeah, sorry I'm late. But as far as what you guys were just talking about, like, you know, I think it's fine to say, describe people with the color of their skin, as long as it's respectful and there's no bad intention behind it. I don't understand why people would get offended for somebody, calling out something that was a fact, or like that was a detailed observation. I can see why, racial profiling gets really sketchy, like really slippery slope, but just everyday, communication, like, just because somebody notices that somebody is Asian and said, hey, that Asian person over there, like, it doesn't need to be taken as an offense,
Okay.
And then also, if like people want to sugarcoat the way they talk, or not call someone out by the color of their skin as an observation or description, they also should not be questioned or probed for trying to be, like, more neutral around people that may seem like they would be, like, I don't know, like, it's weird. Like, people are really weird about it. And I think it's just because there's so many negative, like, stigmas attached to certain words and stuff that have completely neutral academic meanings, but just because of, society and the way, words are being used, they're being viewed that way, so
Okay.
communication is like key in any relationship. So if the communication is all stigmatized up in society, yeah, there's going to be a lot of conflict. So I think language is a good place to start.
Okay. So let me ask this. Crucible, did you want to say something?
Yeah, just real quick. I don't disagree that it's not offensive to say, play with the dark kid or the yellow kid, but then that becomes one of their identifying characteristics. Unnecessarily so, in my view. If you look at videos of kids, in the 5, 6, 7, 8-year-old range, and they're playing the mixed races. They don't know any different. They don't care. So when you say go to play with the dark colored kid, they're going to go, they're not. It's an unnecessary identifying characteristic that has nothing to do with them as a person. And if we use color or ethnicity, go play with the Jewish kid. It's just, I'm not sure what we're accomplishing. It seems we're injecting something where it's one other thing that kids are aware of that they just don't need to be aware of, I guess would be. I don't think it adds anything to the interaction between kids or anybody for that matter.
Well, it would depend on
Okay.
the context. Like, if you don't have anything else to, like, describe a person, I guess in any instance, like, that could be something that could be used.
So
You know what
couldn't
I'm
you
saying?
say, go play with the little kid with the red jacket on?
Yeah, I mean, that would be a
Mm-hmm.
better place to start, but
Yep,
like, I don't know. It would have to have context.
I agree with that.
I want to ask a question, and some people may see this as a loaded question because I'm going back to, and if you all could mute yourselves because you always have this background noise coming in. So Scooter, I'm going to mute you again. All right, so I'm going back to my original topic, which is the spook who sat by the door. And I'm going to ask the question, and you guys can pass the mic on it or not answer in chat. But it is a two-part question. Do you think, I will start off with, do you think Black people and Latinos are afraid of white people? Anybody want to answer that one?
I don't think they are.
Saba?
No, I don't think they are.
Okay. Scooter?
I agree. This is Spanky. I don't think they are anymore.
Oh, Spanky. Okay. And Crucible?
No, I don't think they're afraid of them either. No.
Okay. Do you think?
I think it depends on.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I think it depends on the environment.
Okay. All right.
Because
that's
you can
fair.
flip the question around. Do you think white people are afraid of Latinos and Black people?
And that was my next question.
I think it's environmental concern. I would not go down into Cabrini Greens. I don't know if anybody on this show would know where Cabrini Greens is. It's been demolished.
I grew up in Chicago, and I know where Cabrini Greens is. I did not grow up there, but I am very familiar there. And actually, I when I was growing up, I went to Cabrini Greens twice a year, and one year was on Christmas. My mother made us go to Cabrini Green, and she made us go to the Robert Taylor homes. We had to when my sister and I on Christmas, we had toys through gifts through the living room, in the basement. We had toys everywhere. And my mother made us choose our favorite toy, which my sister and I figured out a couple of years later that we don't say that's our favorite toy, whatever. And we had to get 3 toys, and my mother would rewrap them, and we had to go down to Cabrini Green or Robert Taylor Homes to give children our toys. And then the other time we had to go and we had to take clothes out of our closet that my mother had just bought us, and we had to take them. And I did not know until years later that my mom had actually been going to these places for years on a daily basis, not just twice a year, but like every 2 weeks or so. She had certain people that she would go and give this to. But I get it, because going to Cabrini Green, it is very, very scary. But at the same time, walking on the southwest side of Chicago was also very scary, because those were sundown towns. So what do you do? Spanky? Or is it going to be Scooter this time? Oh, neither one. Okay. Saba?
So I kind of lost me, but I wanted to say something about your second part of your question. I don't think that anybody is generally afraid of anybody else. I think that sometimes in certain situations they could be, but I think generally, certain races, if not like any race, is afraid of each other or afraid of themselves as a race, or afraid of, each other, like either for each other or of each other. Am I making sense? Like, I'll give you an example. Like, I think that some of the time when a group of kids targets another group of kids based on race, it's because they're afraid of each other, and the situation that they might be thinking of based on whatever anybody told them about. You know what I mean?
Okay. All right. So let me ask this, and again, I'm going back to the premise of the show on Welcome Redneck Rambler. Okay, so welcome Saturday Night Smoke. So why do you think this movie was taken out of circulation for 30 years? And I can only put so much on Podbean. So I can only put so much about the about. So I will read this again. Okay. Based on Sam Greenlee's novel, and it was a controversial novel, is a hard-hitting shocker that depicts a world in which the long-suppressed Black man fights back with a vengeance. Dan Freeman, a head-nodding, smiling African-American who impresses his CIA cohorts with his winning demeanor. What they don't realize is that Freeman's friendly facade is nothing more than a mask for a deep-seated hatred of white people. Dan uses his training to organize and fight back against the army that trained him. And I realize that a lot of people, again, this was during the 70s, the blaxploitation movies were out. Um, you know, I was a child of the 70s, so I am dating myself. Um, there were a lot of movies out there like this. And I'm sure that there are a lot of white people who probably did not see it or had no wish to see them. But this particular movie hit a nerve. It hit a nerve.
Whose nerve?
I don't know.
Who do you
And it was
suspect?
taken, and I was taken. It was taken. And you missed the first part of my show, but
Sorry.
It hit a nerve, and it was taken out of circulation for reasons that were never known. I personally think that the government did it. I personally think that the government said, we have a movie that is basically showing where a whole bunch of black people can do this, this, and this, and this, and be successful. You know, and go up against, and it's interesting the way they say the army that trained him. When this book came out in 1969, because it was a book. The book was not. It was something that, you know. Oh, no! We can't have this book on the shelves. So why do you think this movie was taken out of circulation?
Because they didn't want people to learn certain things to be used for evil or for their own protection. Things they didn't want the population to know about commonly, perhaps.
Okay.
Yeah, I think Sava is on it. I think the government's afraid that if the white and the blacks stood together, I think this country would be a completely different place.
Exactly.
Well, Crucible, do you want to? Thank you, Frankie. If you have headphones, can you put them on? I'm sorry, I was talking to Frankie. She had background noise. I'm assuming it was her. Crucible, do you want to weigh in on that one?
Just want to echo what they both said, Saba and Scooter. I think that is the government's worst nightmare. And before I go a little bit further on that, I mean, I think the government probably had something to do with taking that movie out of. We are talking about the CIA here, back in a time when, you know, it was easier to oppress, you know, and suppress blacks than it was to, you know, shine a light on anything. So I mean, but yeah, I think the longer, and I said this a little bit earlier in your show, I think the longer the division persists, and they've tried to do it recently. They've always been trying to do it along racial lines, but they've recently been trying to do it along gay and heterosexual lines to a significant extent, down into the school system. So they're always looking to exploit any flashpoint that they can get. And the worst enemy of the government is a united population. They can't stomach that. Their agenda doesn't advance because there's no distraction. Now I'm sounding like a conspiracy theorist, and I'm really not. But I do think there is
Nothing wrong with that.
There is a utility. They believe there is a utility to the pursuit of division.
Well, what you missed at the very beginning of my little spiel, because when you guys come on my show, you know I do my spiel like the first 5 minutes or so, and then I open it up. I was also saying that when this movie came out, it came out in 1973. We were coming out of the 60s. And remember, Sam Greenlee wrote the book in 1969. We were coming out of the Vietnam War. We were coming out of the assassination of JFK in 62, I do believe it was. And then we had Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, Edward Kennedy. Was that right? And then, you know, you had Nixon with Watergate. Inflation was just absolutely ridiculous. I mean, all these things were going on, and as I said, people were coming back from Vietnam. Some people didn't make it back. There were, we were fighting with the Vietnamese because, we have MIAs. You still have some of our soldiers who I still believe, even though they would be in their 80s now, I do believe that there are still soldiers who either died over there or they are still held captive. I believe this. So this is the world that we were living in when this movie came out. This is the world that we were living in when Sam Greenlee wrote this book in 1969. And do you all think that this is still the same world we're living in now? And before I go forward, I want to pass I want to pass, the mic to Frankie. And Frankie, I apologize. What did you see? Frankie wanted to say, I think people don't want to say people are afraid of each other. Okay. If you want to go into more detail, you could. And Dude says milk chocolate sounds more appropriate. All right. I like caramel. All right. So let's see. So anybody? Scooter, Spanky? Anybody?
I think the
Slava?
reason why is because so we all we have a need for belonging, and I think that the fear of not belonging is there, and then also like the fear is there because it's the belonging is mixed with a lot of, I don't know, like it's like people, they have a self-fulfilling prophecy around other people, and I think people think they understand each other or themselves, and they really don't, and like they'd be less likely to like call their own people out on things, I think, because they might be afraid of rejection from something that they feel a belonging to, and it may be like the only thing that they feel a belonging to. I don't know, something along those lines.
But do you think that with people, I mean, and I understand that some people, join groups or clubs or, just because they want to belong. I get it that, you want to be part of that clubhouse when you're 10. You want to be able to hang out in the place that says, keep out. You want to be one of those people who are in the inside as opposed to being one of the people who are left out. I get that. But how much is individual responsibility responsible for where we are today?
That's exactly what
100%.
lack of.
Yeah, 100%.
So with that individual responsibility, can we get out of this quagmire that we're in? Can we climb out of this can we talk ourselves off the ledge, because this ledge is about to fall. It's about to break loose, in my opinion. So do we as individuals, can we stop it?
Can you?
I think so. I think with education and starting now, proper upbringing, I think this world could be turned around. And as soon as the people quit following the media, as soon as the people quit giving big money to these movies, that part's never going to change. It's going to have to be people that do independent research. It's going to have to be people that go out and look for answers. They've got to quit watching these movies, TV shows, commercials, and following down that rabbit hole. That's the big thing right now. And like you said, Solid Blue, that they took that movie off. All movies lately have depicted the colored being the bad people. I'm surprised, to be honest with you, Black Panther did so well. I really am. And I don't mean that in any disrespect. I'm just saying for Hollywood, it was strange to see them put a black man in a lead role and make it such a great movie, if that makes sense.
It makes sense, and I understand why it did so well, but at the same time, the Spook Who Sat by the Door did extremely well back in 1973.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it did just a little bit too well.
Well, that's just it.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got a Marvel comic versus real life.
Right.
So
Right.
obviously, they're not going to think anybody out there is going to really be Black Panther. I have not seen nor read that book, and I may have to now that you just brought that up. I wish I could remember a movie that I watched. It was about Attica, and it was eye-opening for me. I wasn't old enough to understand it at the time, so it was eye-opening for me to see it. And again, because I watched it, I went and did my own research and whatever. But and Big Mama, my mom, was the one who absolutely insisted that I do my own research. I don't follow and listen to what other people have to say. So I've done that all my life, and now I got this book. Thanks for putting this bug in my ear. Now I got this one that I've got to check this out.
Well, as of 2004, it has been back out there. I don't know why they released it, but it is back out in book form, because they also took the book off the shelves, and now the movie is out there. But again, you're taking movies out of theaters and stuff. So, and then and again, this is when I go back to or turning the corner to when you are taking books out of schools, because there are a lot of good books out there. How many people have read James Baldwin or Richard Wright or even know who these people are? But instead, we were all told to read and the diary of Anne Frank. It's okay to read a book about her. And for correction, Anne Frank died of typhus. She died in a concentration camp, but she didn't go to the gas chamber. She died of typhus. Yet you have Emmett Till, who was shot in the head, for supposedly talking to a white woman, weighed down with an industrial fan and thrown into the Tallahatchie River. But no one wants to read about him. And he was 14. So I look at, and this may sound bad, but I compared it to, let's see, she died of typhus. He got shot in the head. He was hung first. Then he got shot in the head. Then they tied an industrial fan around him. And some people don't even know who Emmett Till is, but the whole world knows who Anne Frank was. Why? Why are some things more prevalent or more prevalent? I'm sorry, than others. But then again, you all can still say, okay, so why are we talking about George Floyd when on the same day there was another white person who was killed almost the same way as George Floyd? So why is one in the news more than the other? And that's fair.
Well, you gotta take a look at who runs the news.
Exactly.
Who depicts what goes viral.
Yep.
Okay, and but if you look at those things, though, if you weren't for I can never remember this girl's name, Denisha Fraser or whatever, she immediately put that video of George Floyd on YouTube. She went home and did that, and it was picked up by people in her neighborhood, and then that's how it got picked up. But you are right. But at the same time, the media, doesn't the Bill of Rights and everything and Constitution say freedom of the press? So, Scooter or Spanky, whoever wants to talk.
I'm gonna no. I was gonna push back a little bit. You and I are of, like I said, the same generation. I know about Emmett Till. I know about the history in Mississippi, the history in Oklahoma, the Tulsa Race Massacre. So I have learned about all of those things. And those were big news in the South. Now, I don't know why it's not being studied today, because I think there's a lot to learn from that.
Well, I live in Chicago, where Emmett Till was from, and I don't think a couple of weeks goes by, and this has been on several years now. There was just something the other day that goes by without there being some mention of Emmett Till, something about the trial, a memorial being set up, a highway being named after him. I mean, we hear about Emmett Till more than any other civil right. I don't want to call him a civil rights person, but a symbol of that era. I know what you're saying, Solid, about Anne Frank. I don't know. It might be a little bit of apples to oranges comparison, but Emmett Till from I don't know if it was Scooter or the other guy. I hear about it all the time, and I think there's a deep regret on the part of a lot of people on the North, as well as the South, about what happened to Emmett Till. But I understand you may not see the publicity that he gets and his memory gets here in Chicago, where he's from. But they do a very good job of keeping his name alive.
And that's recent. And being from Chicago, I follow a lot of things that go on there, and I've been back and forth, as you know, recently, since my mother passed away. My sister and I are trying to clean out the house, but even before then, Emmett Till was forgotten, but he was never forgotten by the South Side. And I have to give it to his mother that she insisted on an open casket. And those movies, and those pictures are on the internet. She insisted on an open casket. So you see, what this bloated 14-year-old looked like. This bloated, beaten, lynched boy looked like. And I give it to her. She wanted the world to see what they did to her only son, to her only child. But at the same time, it's like we fast forward to 2022, and we're still talking about the same thing. Now, I lived my life to see the first Black president. I didn't think that I would ever see it. Now, there are people who don't like him, and that's fine. But I lived to see that. I didn't think that I would. Will I live to see another one? I don't think so. But why are we in this position where we are still fighting, and we're, calling each other names, and we're not willing to listen to the other side? And Scooter, you said something that was interesting, because
Yes.
That's a first.
actually,
I was going to say, yeah, it's a first. Go ahead, lay it on me. What?
When you just look at everything that is going on, and growing up in an era, excuse me, like the 70s, it's different from the way it is now. It just is. Not even, from our music to everything. It is just different. And it was, again, at a time where the world was just, especially America, we were just on edge for everything. Things were burning. It was just different. And that's when I say we can go back to the past, because I think that we can learn from, when I look at, Black Lives Matter, and I know there are going to be some Black people that are not going to like what I'm about to say. I don't have a problem with the term Black Lives Matter. I just think they should have put 2 after. Black Lives Matter too. That is what I think. But at the same time, I think that they should be marching in neighborhoods where Black people are killing Black people. I think that. I don't want somebody to start clapping their hands and say, yes, yes, yes. Because at the same time, you know, you still got the other side that's still killing us. But then again, we're killing other people. You're killing other people. Latinos are killing. I mean, we're all killing everybody.
I didn't kill anybody.
I've got a list.
Yet.
Unfortunately, I may or may have not.
I mean, I am
I've
just
got
saying,
a couple of overdue library books, but that's about it.
you know, I am just saying, so when does it stop? And I'm going to pass it over to Shy Lady. Thank you for waiting patiently.
Oh, I mean, I'm just making my little comments in there, and I agree with you know, everything that you said. And I don't know what happened in the first hour. I just literally walked in the door, but just glad to be a part of the conversation.
That's because you were late.
And I might have to dip out of here in a little bit because my husband wants me to watch the game with him. But anyway, that's
that is
another
okay.
story.
I am happy that you showed up. So thank you.
Yeah,
And Alpha
gotta
Mike,
show the support.
welcome. Thank you. And Alpha Mike and Dude Sean Doss, welcome. Okay, so Solid thinks like me they should have added 2 to beat the LM. Yeah. So I mean, Scooter, Spanky, I don't which one of you all are talking? Because I know you all are just a tag team.
It's a tag
It's
team.
a tag team.
That's the way we operate. I
Back
thought you knew that,
again.
Solid.
Well, I mean, I do,
And
but
I
I get
just wanna take
confused
this-
on who's talking. Who's talking here?
We don't even
It's
know.
my turn to
So,
talk.
and I want to take this. Oh, Sava.
Oh.
I was just reading
I was
the
going to
title
take this
of the
opportunity. Jeez.
You know, I got one
I was
word
just
for
going to
you.
apologize to Chai Lady.
Our biggest
Wait,
enemy.
wait, Sava, hold on.
Sure.
Let
Sure.
Scooter Spanky talk. Let the tag team talk.
Yeah, no, this was about, you know, that show a few weeks ago. I'm sorry about Portillo's. I apologize, Chai Lady. I just wanted to get that off my chest.
Oh,
It's been
man,
burning.
It's so funny.
See, now, okay, so Crucible, Solid, Chai Lady, I think you live in Chicago. I lived in Geneva, you know, that pretty little sparkling area out in Kane County.
Yes,
Shy
it's
Lady
3
is
hours
from,
away. Yes.
Yes, I know where Geneva is. Shy Lady did live in Chicago. She doesn't live anymore. As you know,
Thank goodness.
I grew up there. I live in California, and Crucible is still in Chicago. And we
But the fun thing is, you said they do such a great job of remembering Emmett Till. The whole time I was there, I don't remember ever seeing anything about Emmett Till.
I'm talking about, when I say they do such, I'm talking about the Black neighborhoods, the Black community. They always did something. They always did some type of, you know, yearly thing, what have you, for Emmett Till, especially when his mother was living.
Well, interestingly enough, when I lived in Mississippi, they did do things to honor and to remember and to commemorate Emmett Till. And I get a little bit frustrated with today that we've got all the revisionists out there rewriting history, and we're not teaching kids about those horrible, tragic things that went on.
And that's what, and
I'm
I'm happy that you said that, because they are rewriting it. Now, one thing that Shiley and I we disagree on is, I am 100% for keeping every single statue of Confederate people up. I do not think it should be taken down. Why? Because leave them up. Because if you don't, the story gets kind of pushed to the side too. If you want to sit up here and say, yeah, Custer did this, but also talk about everything else that Custer was. While you're talking about, you know, Thomas Jefferson, talk about the fact that he raped a 14-year-old girl. Let's talk about the fact that they had slaves. So when you take something, it's like out of sight, out of mind. Leave these statues up because it's still part of everybody's history. Everybody's it's not just Black people. If anybody, it's like Native Americans. They're the ones that have been screwed over more than anybody. More than anybody, the Native Americans.
I'm doing okay.
I'm not doing too bad.
Yeah, I'm okay.
And I'm in Oklahoma, and
I can't complain. I'm okay. I'm right.
So this is where I grew up. I'm Native. I don't know if that means anything.
I think though, Solid Blue, I think what you're saying is kind of a catch-22. So if you leave those up and you talk about the other bad things, that's fantastic. But now you're bringing back the slave issue, and you're bringing back the history to the kids again, who are impressionable, who don't really need to know. Slaves.
But you're saying that. So so are you saying that my history doesn't matter?
Well, don't get mad at me for saying this, but if you want the world to change, yours and my history does not matter.
Okay, and see that's where I think that there's that disconnect, because to me, when you say that it doesn't matter, you're trying to erase who I am, and I know that you mean no disrespect or anything, but you're trying to erase who I am. My great wait 1 2 3 my 3 times great grandfather was a white man who was a slave owner who raped my 3 times great grandmother. I have 2 great uncles that were lynched. Am I supposed to forget about that? Am I not supposed to? No, hold on, because because part of that history of that statue. So basically, you're saying let's glorify the fact that they went and they were part of this army and they were this great senator or sergeant in the army, whatever. Oh, okay, that's fine. But what about everything else? So if you're going to talk about them, let's talk about their entire life.
Yeah, but I think by slinging mud, you're not getting anything accomplished.
Okay.
It's like relationships. When you move on from your past relationship and you're married, you don't look back. You don't think back when you're married to your ex-husband all the time. You don't think back how horrible every day was with your ex-husband. You don't do that. You look forward to what you can do to change that relationship with the husband you have now. The problem is we're stuck in that past. Don't get me wrong. It was a horrible, horrible past. But if you keep rehashing it and re-bringing it up and re-throwing it in people's faces that had nothing to do with it, you're going to get some resentment. You're going to get some guilt. I have guilt. I don't even deserve to have the guilt. I wasn't part of this, nor would I want to be. But because it keeps getting rehashed and rehashed and rehashed, what are we supposed to do? By we, I mean ones that didn't partake. We don't know of anybody that's taken part in any of this.
Okay, so then let me ask this then. So, well, my son is soon to be 22, so this would not, but if I were a parent in grammar school or in high school, does that mean that I could, if my kid was learning about Thomas Jefferson, like they were going to learn about Thomas Jefferson, that week, can I pull my kid out of school because I don't want my kid to learn about Thomas Jefferson or George Washington? Can I pull my kid out of school?
If you want, I mean, if you think that's going to, better him, absolutely.
Okay. All right. I just wanted to make sure that it's okay. So that means that every parent can go in, no matter what the lesson is, if they feel that their child is going to be affected, then they can, pull, and then they can pull them out. And like they say,
absolutely.
Our kids
That's the responsibility of a parent.
Okay, but like they say, our kids are old enough to experience racism. Your kids are old enough to learn about it.
But if they don't learn about it, they're not going to know what it is.
Yeah, but then again, like I said, you have these kids that are in school who are calling people names and calling people slurs, what have you. So
But if
what do
they
you do?
weren't taught those slurs or learned what those slurs were, they wouldn't be able to use them.
Right, and where did they learn those slurs? Did they learn it at home?
At
I
home,
mean, right,
at
At home.
school.
right, and
Right.
you have photos of back in the 50s and 60s. There are photos that are out there where you have like children who are like 2 and 3 dressed in a Klan outfit. So was that the government, was that the school, or was that the parents at home who said, let's put him in a little Klan outfit? Oh,
That's the
doesn't he
parents.
look right? So a lot of
Yeah.
the stuff starts at home.
Right.
All of the stuff starts at home. You're never going to stamp out ignorance and idiots. They're here all over the world. They're not going anywhere.
I mean, I'll be here for probably another 20 years, then I'll be gone. But
15 is what I'm betting on, but that's a different story.
Solid.
But-
I like to add something whenever ask a question. Whenever
Okay, Shyla, go.
I didn't want to cut anyone off, but I wanted to make sure that you guys were done because I was asked a question in the chat if I could.
Yes,
add something.
I just saw it. I try to keep up with the chat. Go ahead.
I just want to ask a question to the panel. Do you think that the Diary of Anne Frank should be required reading because that's part of the past that has happened to a group of people, a very tragic incident in history that happened over in Europe? Should it be a required reading for kids throughout the world? Because I'm sure they read it in Europe. If they're reading it in America, I'm sure they're reading it in Europe. So should that be a required reading for every kid, whether they're public school or private school? Should that be taken out of the classroom? Should that past be left alone and say, hey, enough is enough. We know about it. Let's stop talking about it, because it's still required reading, even though it happened in Europe. So just asking, should that be taken out of the classroom?
I think it should be an elective rather. I don't think it should be required. I think it should be an elective. I'm not saying there shouldn't be, something taught about it. Like Black History Month, I think it's fantastic, but let's focus on the positivity of the Black history. Quit bringing up what's happened negatively to them, to where these kids are going to fall back and think, oh my God, it's just the Black people. I'm going to be in trouble. They're not going to like me. Why don't we focus on the positive of what the Black community has done? And then the younger Black people will see it and realize, oh, okay, we can do good. We're not all bad. We're not all thugs. We're not out there killing people.
But we already know.
All of the Holocaust is negative. There's nothing positive about the Holocaust.
Exactly.
Absolutely nothing.
Exactly.
So why?
And I agree 100%.
Why keep reading it if it's all negative?
I don't.
Well, I'm just saying
and I'll
about
probably
the schools.
piss off a lot
not
of
really
people by that.
You.
But
I'm just saying, as far as the schools are concerned.
yeah,
Why, if it's all negative history about the gas chambers and a group of people who were genocide, exterminated, and it happened back in the 1940s, like 80 years ago, why should it still be continued reading?
Well, are we only supposed to read positive history?
If it didn't happen. That's what I'm saying. Everyone's saying slavery is negative, but the Holocaust is very negative as well. So should that continue to be?
But most significant events in human history have been tragic events. Holocaust and slavery being among them. They left a horrible, horrible mark on humanity for completely different reasons. So they're significant in that, not because they deal necessarily with one race or ethnicity or another. I don't think Anne Frank should be required reading, but the Holocaust should be required, because of what it did to the planet. Same with slavery. I agree with Scooter. Elective, teach it. But I mean, if we eliminate negative history, we're not left with very much.
Well, let me interrupt, because in Germany, learning about the Holocaust is a requirement. Germany requires the Holocaust be taught in their schools.
Right.
So
over here we're taught Black history for a month.
If it's taught correctly, and the reason why I say if it's taught correctly, when my son was in two brick and mortar schools before he was homeschooled, it was like, seriously, this is your Black history, and I would talk to other parents and like, you should see what they're teaching, just because you have that month, if it's even taught. So again, but then again, that's with everything. When you go take a
Right.
math math class, is it taught correctly?
Right.
So
Right.
so yeah, so that's so that is subjective. And Shy Lady, I want to comment on something that you said about Scooter and Spanky. You said they were hilarious, and I know I'm interrupting the show to give a show plug, but you should come in tomorrow when they do the Beans and Weenie Code Blue. That is a show that you want to catch. It is all music, and you will feel like you are in the club. And the music that they play, I guarantee you will like.
Oh, wow.
See, I just gave
Thank you so much.
And Spanky, I know it's you. I'm not blue salad, and no, I'm not fat. So.
But he is.
I am.
So.
So I just wanted to say that when I went to your show the other night, you all had me laughing. But yeah, so yeah, solid does not mean I'm solid.
It doesn't mean you're solid. Okay. All right. Good to know. All right. Point taken. Oops.
Oh, Lord. And Shy Lady wants to know what time is it. Shy Lady is in Texas, so she's Central Standard Time.
It's 8 o'clock.
8 p.m.
Is that Central Time or?
Yes, ma'am. 8 o'clock Central Time.
It's Texas time. We live on Texas time and Tulsa time.
Okay, so Shy Lady, you know what time it is. So, okay,
and Shy Lady, there's no Portillo's up here either, so I'm heartbroken.
Hey, but there's one coming to Dallas.
I know that makes me mad.
Oh, you're not that far.
Yeah, but I ain't driving 3 hours for that hot dog and a chocolate cake, and it won't be the same.
You're probably right. I
will tell you guys that I do not buy hot dogs from the store. I do not buy the Oscar Mayer and stuff. I spend, and you all are gonna think this is crazy, I spend $83 to buy 2 pounds of Chicago Vienna sausage hot dog. So if you want a good hot dog, you gotta get a Vienna sausage hot dog.
If you're a real Chicagoan, that's the only dog you eat.
That's the only dog.
A beef Polish or Vienna, and I order them too.
Yes.
Or if I go home, I take several packs with me on the plane.
Yes, and I will tell you, Scooter and Spanky, I'm not gonna bring you in here to it too. Yes, I do put ketchup on my hot dog. I do not like mustard.
Woo!
All right.
No.
I do that too. And while you're gonna spend that money, get the nuts on Clark.
No ketchup.
Nope. I do not like mustard. I am ketchup. Sorry, but yeah, and Alpha Mike, 80. Yep.
Oh, sauerkraut. You got to put that on the dog too.
No, sport peppers. I don't know what's wrong with you. You put the sport peppers
wait, hold
in
on.
there.
I have three jars of sports peppers in my pantry, and I have literally just ordered some more because sports peppers on a hot dog or anything else is the bomb.
Amen.
So
man,
guys,
I'm missing out. I gotta catch up.
So I know we have changed the direction of the show or whatever, but that is all I have. I thank you guys for coming. I'm unfortunately my camera didn't do what it was supposed to do on TikTok tonight, but I am going to go back to streaming live on YouTube for my daily shows, so you all will see me on video or not. You guys can still stay on Podbean. That is fine. But does anybody want to say any last words of wisdom? I'm going to start with Crucible.
No, I always appreciate these topics. There's always good, meat on the bone to chew on as far as cultural and topics of interest. And I'm always interested to hear other people's perspectives. And like I was saying earlier, I think the challenge for us as people, but particularly as blacks and whites, is, we can respect the past and acknowledge it and call it for what it is, but at the same time, try to look forward to the future, because that is a controllable. The past is not. How we marry them, I'm not quite sure, but I think that should be a goal.
Okay, and I'm going to go to Saba. Saba, you have any last words of wisdom?
Yes. So one of our biggest enemies is the media, and it gets in between us. It's in the middle, like it's part of what divides us. And whatever's being taught in schools, like federally funded schools or whatever, any school pretty much, and programmed into the media, like I think a lot of it, I think people fail to see that, some of it is on there for the purpose of dividing us, and it's there for the purpose of creating situations where we have to have hard conversations like this. Like it targets reactions. I think a lot of people miss that, like they overlook that. So I just wanted to bring that up.
Okay, all right. And Scooter and Spanky, you have any last words?
I'll let Spanky go first
Uh,
because he's the big talent
uh,
with one leg.
I just want to say that I love the conversation tonight, and I love the fact that as adults we can agree or disagree without anybody getting upset or getting hurt about it. I think more topics like this need to happen with the right people on there. But I appreciate you letting us on. I learned a lot, actually, and I'm going to check out that book. What was it? The Spook Who Slept by the Door?
The Spook Who Sat by the Door by Sam Greenlee, and you can get it on Amazon. You get the DVD and the and the book on Amazon.
I'm gonna have to cancel our show while I read it.
But Scooter,
I can get some sleep.
Scooter and Spanky, I want to say, first of all, this is the first time I've heard you guys kind of serious here. So
yeah, it's a first for anybody, I think.
First for us too. Thank you for doing that for us, Solid Blue Sisters.
But seriously, thank you guys for coming on. Thank you, Saba, Frankie. Thank you very much for coming on, and Crucible, and Shy Lady. And again, you guys have to catch Spanky and Scooter's Beans and Weenie, and I will let you guys promote your own Code Blue. So what do you guys want to say about Code Blue?
Code Blue. That's Saturday night, 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. Be there. Don't be. Oh, sorry.
Stop it. It's 8 o'clock Central Standard Time. Normally,
I said that.
Normally, people go out to the club. We like to just bring the club to you. You can provide your own alcohol, Kool-Aid, pop, whatever it is that you drink. You provide the friends, and we'll just keep the music and the fun times going. We like to look at it as a cheaper alternative to a club.
And you know what?
Safer.
And it is safer, and it is all of the above. And I would like to say one last thing before I close it out. You just said pop. And do you know that when I first moved to California, I said pop all the time, but now I say soda.
You're drinking too much of the Kool-Aid, Solid Blue Sister. Just give it up.
Now I say soda, and I don't say couch, like sitting on the couch. I say sofa. So.
Oh, my Lord.
I call it beer.
I don't know. We'll have to do an intervention.
Show's
for Solid Blue.
That's it. Show's over.
She's not going to.
So.
Come on out to Oklahoma. We'll break some bread. We'll get you some good barbecue and some meat, and we'll teach you what it is to get the pop back in your life and sit on the sofa.
And Alpha Mike says, because it's a soda. So on that note, guys, thank you guys for coming. Saba, Power Girl, Scooter, Spanky, Frankie, Jester, John Gale was here earlier, Crucible, Shy Lady, Juju, and Trader, I can't remember her name. I'm sorry, Alpha Mike. But all of you guys, thank you so much. The show does not work without you. So on that note, enjoy the rest of your weekend and show up for Code Blue tomorrow, because I will be in line waiting for the doors to open. Bye.
I just want to say soda pop.
Soda pop. All right. Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, bye-bye. Oh my goodness. Thank you, everyone. Woo.
I feel like getting up and doing something with this music.
Well, this isn't my Friday. I had another Friday music, but this is the one that I wanted to play tonight.
So you're gonna do a show next, or are you gonna do a live stream, a video?
I was thinking about going on TikTok, but I think I am going to wait. I have to get this camera working on TikTok.
What? I don't understand. Like TikTok. Like, come on in Telegram. It's uncensored. You don't get banned for talking about stuff.
I am on Telegram, but there's a reason.
I know. We should.
There's a reason for TikTok, and I will discuss it offline. So,
Well,
on that note, everybody,
Okay.
go home.
Bye.
See you later.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye-bye.